Welcome back, my fellow night owls, to another chilling episode. Tonight we delve into the eerie tales of roads that seem to vanish into thin air. These are the highways and byways where reality bends and the laws of nature twist into something sinister. Some say these roads are haunted by restless spirits, others whisper of interdimensional gateways, but all agree these paths lead to nowhere you'd ever want to go. So lock your doors, turn off the lights, and hold your breath as we navigate the dark heart of America's most haunted highways. This is the road that vanishes, Highways to Nowhere horror story. Our first tale takes us to a desolate stretch of road known as the Phantom Highway. It winds its way through the barren heart of the Nevada desert, a ribbon of cracked asphalt baking under the relentless desert sun. Many have traveled it, but few have returned to tell the tale. Those who do return with stories that chill the blood. Stories of a phantom hitchhiker, a spectral figure in a flowing white dress who appears on the roadside, thumb outstretched, desperate for a ride. They say she's the ghost of a young woman who died tragically on this road decades ago, her car plunging off the edge of a nearby canyon, her body never recovered. Some say she's searching for her lost love. Others, a way out of this desolate purgatory. But whatever her reasons, one thing is certain: accepting a ride from the phantom hitchhiker is a one-way ticket to oblivion. One such story tells of two college students, David and Emily, driving cross-country on a road trip. They had heard the local legends but dismissed them as mere folklore. As the sun began to set, they felt a chill creep into the car, a sense of dread that had no logical explanation. Then, on the horizon, a figure appeared, a lone woman in a white dress, her thumb extended in the universal sign of a hitchhiker. David, ever the good Samaritan, slowed the car, his better judgment clouded by a strange compulsion to help. Emily, however, felt a shiver run down her spine. Something about the woman felt off, her features obscured by the fading light, her smile just a little too wide. Despite Emily's protests, David pulled over. As the woman approached the car, her features came into focus, revealing a face both beautiful and haunting, her eyes filled with a mixture of desperation and something else, something ancient and unknowable. She leaned towards David, her voice a soft whisper that seemed to slither through the open window. "Thank you kindly," she said, her breath cold on David's cheek. "I'm heading north." And with that, she vanished. The car, which had been running perfectly just moments before, sputtered and died. David tried to restart it, but the engine wouldn't turn over. They were stranded. As darkness enveloped them, the temperature plummeted, the desert air turning bitterly cold. That's when they saw her again, the woman in white, standing in the middle of the road, her eyes burning with an eerie light. Next we journey to the eastern coast, to the dense fog-shrouded forests of Maine. Here, nestled amongst the towering pines and mist-choked valleys, lies the Disappearing Route, a place where travelers vanish without a trace. Route 2A, as it is officially known, cuts through a particularly isolated stretch of wilderness. Locals tell stories of drivers who turned onto the road, only to emerge hours later on a completely different road, miles from their intended destination, with no memory of how they got there. Others weren't so lucky. Their cars were found abandoned, sometimes days, sometimes weeks later, on the side of the road, engines cold, personal belongings untouched, but of their occupants, no sign. It's as if they stepped out of their cars and into thin air. Some whisper of ancient Indian burial grounds disturbed by the construction of the road, their slumbering guardians angered by the intrusion. Others speak of a strange, disorienting fog that descends upon the road, a thick, unnatural mist that plays tricks on the mind. One such tale tells of a young couple newly married on their way to a secluded cabin for their honeymoon. The groom, a budding photographer named Mark, was captivated by the eerie beauty of the forest. He pulled over to capture the scene, his new bride Sarah smiling at his enthusiasm. "Don't be too long," she teased. "I want to see this amazing cabin before it gets dark." Mark promised to be quick, snapping a few photos before returning to the car. But when he turned back, the car was gone. He blinked, his mind struggling to process what his eyes were seeing. He called out for Sarah, his voice tight with panic, but there was no answer, only the rustle of leaves and the distant cry of a crow. He ran back down the road, his heart pounding in his chest, his mind racing with terrifying possibilities. He stumbled upon their car a few hundred yards down the road, parked haphazardly on the shoulder. The driver's side door was open, Sarah's purse still on the seat, but of Sarah there was no sign. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, but Sarah was never seen again. Mark, consumed by guilt and grief, returned to the disappearing route again and again, searching for any sign of his lost love. Finally, we arrive at our final destination, a place so steeped in fear, so shrouded in shadow, that even speaking its name sends shivers down the spines of those who know its secrets. This is the Vanishing Path, a road so sinister that even the bravest souls dare not tread. Deep in the Appalachian mountains, hidden amongst the ancient peaks and mist-shrouded hollows, lies a winding dirt road, barely visible on even the most detailed maps. Locals call it the Devil's Backbone, a name whispered in hushed tones around flickering campfires. It is said that the road appears only under the light of a full moon, a shimmering ethereal ribbon winding its way through the dense primeval forest. Some say it's a path to another dimension, a gateway to a realm of darkness and despair. Others believe it's a hunting ground for something ancient and evil, something that lurks in the shadows, waiting for unsuspecting souls to stray from the path. The few who have dared to venture onto the Vanishing Path tell tales that would chill the blood of even the most hardened skeptic. They speak of disembodied voices whispering their names, of trees that seem to reach out with gnarled, grasping branches, of the feeling of being watched by unseen eyes. They tell of a suffocating darkness that descends upon the path, a darkness so profound that it seems to crush the very soul. One such tale tells of a group of teenagers who, fueled by teenage bravado and cheap beer, decided to brave the legend of the Vanishing Path. They piled into a beat-up pickup truck, their headlights cutting through the dense darkness like knives. They drove for what seemed like hours, the road twisting and turning, the forest pressing in on either side like a living thing. The laughter slowly died down, replaced by an uneasy silence as the weight of their surroundings began to sink in. Then the engine sputtered and died. Silence descended, broken only by the sound of their own ragged breathing and the frantic chirping of crickets. They tried to start the engine, but it was no use. They were stranded. As they huddled together for warmth, the forest around them seemed to come alive with strange sounds. Twigs snapped, leaves rustled, and something large moved through the undergrowth, its heavy breathing sending chills down their spines. One by one they disappeared. Not all at once, but one by one, snatched from the group without a sound, their screams swallowed by the dense, unforgiving darkness. The last remaining teenager, a girl named Maggie, huddled in the bed of the truck, her eyes wide with terror, her body trembling uncontrollably. She could hear her friends calling her name, their voices faint and distorted, as if from a great distance. She knew she had to get out of there, had to run, but her legs refused to obey. She was paralyzed with fear. Then she saw it, a pair of eyes, glowing red in the darkness, staring at her from the edge of the trees. They were large eyes filled with an ancient hunger, an unspeakable malice that seemed to drain the warmth from her body. She screamed, a raw, primal sound that ripped from her throat, and scrambled out of the truck bed, her only thought to get as far away from those eyes as possible. She ran blindly through the darkness, her lungs burning, her legs screaming for respite. These roads may seem like mere legends, spun from the shadows and told to keep us from venturing too far into the darkness. But for those who have experienced their terror, who have felt the icy breath of the unknown on their necks, these roads are all too real. They are scars on the landscape, reminders that there are places in this world where the veil between our reality and something else, something ancient and unknowable, wears thin. Have you ever encountered a road that seemed to vanish before your eyes? A path that whispered of forgotten tragedies and unexplained disappearances? Share your stories in the comments below if you dare. But be warned, once you step into the shadows, you may never truly find your way out. Until next time, stay safe and beware the roads that vanish.